Where going?
Okay, everybody, thank you for being here at Professional Development Focus Group, John Hayes, Lamar University, great state of Texas. Is where you find that school. Find a beacon of educational wherewithals, but not as great as Dorman, obviously. We have here assembled an array of teachers of varying practices and subjects and abilities and years of service. So we're all over the spectrum here. Today, this meeting will last approximately 40-45 minutes. I should note as well, we're going to get interrupted by bells occasionally, so this should be a thing we'll have to deal with. Personal favorite, Austin Powers. We all have our own take on what professional development is and what we want it to be and what we don't want it to be. We're going to try and move in a direction where we can not develop this is how it's going to be, but just start the ball rolling. Just get some ideas from our school. The agenda for this, we're just going to identify just do a quick little popcorn, some strengths and weaknesses. The goal for this is by the end, if we can, this isn't like a hard, steadfast goal, but if we can have 3 ideas for professional development going forward from here. And if we have 2, then that's fantastic. If we have 1 really good one, then that's fantastic too. There's no grade on this. We'll talk about best and worst. We'll need based on the data, but then the data doesn't always count what we see with our own eyes in the classrooms. And so, what do we see based on our own observations in the classroom? Some key questions to consider, some outside the box things to consider. If we can come up with the 3, and then any feedback that you can give me on how this went or what needs to happen next. Because whatever we decide here, if I'm taking it up top. So the brass will see it, and if it's a good thing, then maybe we'll do this. Okay? About 2009, my wife and I were in Kenya on a medical missions trip. I'm not medical, but I can fold and say hello and try and do things like this. My wife is medical, she's a nurse practitioner, and she was there. They were doing cleft palate and cleft lip surgeries. And we were there for about 2 weeks in hospitals. We had a chance to go on safari, a lot of dust and dirt, but still really cool stuff. And saw all the animals. At the very end, we're in the airport in Nairobi coming back to the United States. And I'm done. Africa had won. Kenya had beat me to Kenya won easily 0. And I'm in line waiting to go through security. And more than any other place I've ever traveled, the gentleman looking at his passports was really studying the passports. Up and down, every little feature, In front of me was a couple that husband and wife, and she had the traditional Muslim attire, hijab or burqa. She had it around her face and around her head, and I just had this thought, like, what's going to happen when it's their turn? What's going to happen? And obviously, the husband goes first, and then it's the wife's turn, and she hands passport to the husband to the guy. Guy looks at the wife and kind of does, like you can tell he's not sorry about this, but he kind of does. Take this off. And I'm African out of my mind and just kind of like was just eyeballing this whole situation, what's going on here. And she looks at the husband back to the guy, and I'm sorry, can I do it? So, okay. So she takes just something off of her face. She's still got something around the rest of her head. The guy looks at her and the husband, I'm sorry, gotta take it. She's frustrated, she doesn't like this, husband doesn't like this, they're kind of back and forth. Okay, fine. If you want to get on the plane, you gotta do this. So she takes everything off, and again, I'm just going, and everything comes off, and I'm stunned, absolutely stunned. She is drop dead gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, and my mouth agape, and I'm just staring at this woman who I'm not allowed to stare at, according to her. and her beliefs and her system, and I can respect it. And again, just Africa out of my mind, just kind of just watching this scenario, cultural scenario unfold in front of me, and stunned at how beautiful she really is. And as we've all done with our students and experienced in our own classrooms, when our students can tell when someone is looking at them, and she felt me looking at her, eyeballing her, not ogling her, really appreciating how pretty she was. And she turned and looked at me in a way that she turned and cut her eyes at me in a way that my mother ever did to me. And in my soul, just, oh, and I kind of did the, hey, we gotta fly, okay. That wasn't my privilege, that wasn't my opportunity, it wasn't for me. Her image is for her husband. That was an incredible cultural experience, and while I felt like I was about to be attacked, it's a memory I cherish. And in turn, I never looked at different cultures the same way again. It didn't matter the culture that I was around or the type of person I was around. It put in me an appreciation for different. And that was a professional development session that would be very hard to duplicate for teachers. To see that our students, while different and while they come from different situations, I mean, ideally we're here for the students and to see them succeed. And if we can gain an appreciation for them and how different they view things and how different they are, then there's I don't know, I see something positive in that. And that's kind of a goal I'd like to keep in mind as we talk today, is that the student has got to be in the forefront. Oh, I like doing this professional development. I like what is best for the student. There is this diagram that just keep it in mind, if you don't keep it in mind as we talk today about professional development, about what seems to be working, what doesn't, just kind of professional development going. All right, we're talking about technology and then the technology we're using for the camera. Camera runs out of the memory card, so a little hiatus there. And while everybody was so kind to not address it on the video, but listen, let's address it now, but I fixed it, okay? I fixed it, agenda, spelled correctly now. Y'all call me out, that's fine. I'm not, all right, hey, if we could, take a few moments here, and everybody had a copy of the school report card that y'all printed out early on, and asked y'all to go through that and point out some things where the students have a specific need based on our report card, school report card from last year. What are some of the things that y'all came up with? What did y'all notice our needs were based on the data there?
I'd say the students' writing skills are pretty bad.
Students' writing skills.
Sentences, misspelling, grammar, just
Punctuation.
it's unreal that they hadn't figured it out by last grade.
Have y'all heard that like college professors like lamenting writing skills and all that, just with each passing generation? So, who's gotten a text language in what they?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
all of them. I
All the
gave you just the
That's all they
letter
do.
R
That's all
for
they do.
ARE. And I don't allow it.
So they expect autocorrect.
Yeah. Do you ever think we're on the precipice of like going from, I don't know, like Sanskrit to Phoenician? Something.
Yeah,
We're on the
definitely.
precipice. Some sort of cultural change is happening right here. I mean, how many of your students know cursive?
No, no, not at all.
They can't read cursive either.
Can't read
No,
cursive.
you tell them to sign their name and they just print it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What else? So the writing skills, clearly, yeah. What else do we see?
Majority of EOC scores went down.
Yeah. Yeah. EOC end of course scores went down.
Some significant.
Some significantly. Yes. Students, seniors eligible for the Life Scholarship grabbed me.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah? What do you think?
With the state being 42 and we're just at 27.8, and we have an outstanding school system.
Yeah.
I just find that hard to believe.
What else?
Anyway, since I'm a substudies guy myself, the U.S. history and Constitution, EOC score is very troubling. It's 15 points lower than comparable high schools, and the state is 15 points lower than that too, so.
Right.
Not sure why that is, but it's concerning.
I mean, I've always been told that, I mean, the U.S. history class is a pretty serious, a lot of facts, hard. It's just you gotta know what you don't, a lot of memorization.
The math EOC scores look pretty good.
Atta girl. Atta girl. Well done. The students enrolled in AP classes went up, but the students who were successful in those programs went down. And these are the best and the brightest, apparently. Where else do we have a need based on this?
I wonder why parents attending conferences went down
Mhm.
8%.
And I find, and again,
100%.
I know, like Ms. Wright says, I find this number hard to believe. There was 100% attendance, perfect attendance from parents in meetings last year.
I've sat in on many meetings where the parents don't shit though.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know where that number comes from.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to,
Some don't even call back. I mean, no.
And the fact that that prime instructional time, that percentage is known.
what is that? What is that prime instructional time? What do y'all think that is? Because I can't figure it out either.
I think that would be the teacher up at the front instructing the class. That's in my opinion.
That would be.
Yeah. What's that mean what it is? Just that,
Prime instructional time.
Because we've been trying to focus more on, project-based learning, so the teacher's not really doing as much actual instructing to the class.
I was thinking maybe it's a good thing that that's gone down a little bit.
Maybe it's a good
If
thing
it's
that's,
lectures and
But if
teacher.
it's going down, but also all the EOC scores and everything are also going down, I think we kind of underestimate the instructional time.
Mhm.
well, and I think maybe that's one of those things that we're gonna have to wait and see what the true results are. Because if you are standing there, like for instance, a lot of our classes have, like, you guys have the Carnegie math and things, so you do a whole group for just a
Mhm.
short period of time, and then you go on to let them do their own. I don't know if we'll see everything just within a year of doing that.
Mhm.
You have your, really a longitudinal
And
result.
it's hard to look at 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I acknowledge that. I think we can all understand that. It's hard to look at 1 year, but as we remember, we changed our testing system, if you will. It kind of changed last year, going from one state test to another state test, and so the numbers changed as well. In some places, very dramatically. So if you look at this is 2015. If you look at 2014, 13, and 12, it's in a completely different format, even on the report card. Okay. Anything else jumping out that y'all noticed?
The percentage of students retained is surprising.
Percentage of students retained,
Yeah, that is surprising.
it went up,
Yeah. Not by much, but still.
not by much, but those are students, for sure. All right, what are our needs based on different observations that we've seen? That you can't necessarily quantify with data. What have you noticed in the classroom that students need help with.
Well, they need help understanding that if you have your technology out, there's still a lot of kids out there that do not understand how to maneuver around within the technology. They don't know how to save a document, or they don't know how to move from one screen to the next. So I still feel, even though they can, work their phones really well, they have trouble with their
Right.
laptop or.
Basic computer skills.
Yeah,
Basic computer skills. How to save something on the H drive.
Yes.
How to
open it.
How to open it up.
They save it on the computer.
Yes. Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, that's on.
and then they have to go find that computer. They
Yeah.
do try to save it, they're
Yeah.
just not saving it the correct way.
And then we even have students, we have the program she was talking about earlier, Carnegie Math, you have to put the school ID in.
Uh-huh.
So we give them a piece of paper with the school ID, and still 9 weeks into the semester, I still have to go and type the school ID in for people. And they have a piece of paper with it on there.
Basic technological skills. Okay, definitely said. For as much technology as they have right in front of them, they still struggle with basic computer skills and things. Yes, I don't have a case on my phone. I do that on purpose because I like these slides in and out of my pocket a lot easier. If I drop it, I usually am quick enough to just throw the foot out, kick it across the room. My students though with those phones, and they all got cracks. Phone companies love those.
Oh, yeah.
Love kids. They all got cracked screens. What other observations from the classroom? Anything social, anything cultural, anything just interpersonal, if you will, just kind of how they relate to each other? That
Well, in my particular class, I've noticed this semester, they're cracking on each other all the time. It's almost like I'm going back into middle school. And, one person will say something that they're directing to me, but the whole choir comes in and chimes in, and I'm going, wait, that was directed to me, I'm gonna answer this. And it's like that, the social skills have not sunk in, that we have to wait until we're, asked to speak. It's like they're all.
Maturity level.
Yeah, the maturity level maybe is, to me, I see it this year. It's taking much longer for it to kick in as far as maturity.
on the whole, based on your educational career, students doing this, students doing this, or kind of up and down?
I'd say seeing some kids that I taught in ninth grade and seeing how they actually have matured when I see them in their 11th, 12th grade year, it is encouraging to see that they do
I agree with that.
mature. I think ninth grade year is a tough, odd year for them anyway, and they're still trying to figure themselves out,
And I
kind of
think
where they fit in.
I think being at a separate campus, it kind of is like they're in middle school an additional year. I think that the reason they mature maybe in 10th graders because they have people up there to look up to
Okay.
that are mature. So that kind of is what speeds the process up. But when they're here, it's just all their friends that are in the same grade so they can act however.
What about ability?
Kind of comes and goes.
I
It's-
agree.
it depends
I
on
think
the
it's
group.
more of a up and down than
Yeah.
a straight. I've seen, I remember kids I've had in the past that really did good jobs with sentence punctuation, capitalization, and not like this year, it's kind of hitting a low again.
This year is significantly lower group of readers,
Significantly lower.
particularly in our program. It's amazing how they're here
Mhm.
and functioning, somewhat, some of them doing pretty well, but they really have some low reading scores across the board.
And I've seen, it kind of depends on the class sometimes. Teaching an honors class or high level class versus a lower level class, but I don't know, this is just my 5th year, but I feel like I've seen this. I feel like this is what I've seen, and I'm not sure what to attribute that to or think about in regards to that. But
So the gap between the haves and the have-nots is growing, I believe.
listen, just bring Bernie in, and bring Bernie, and the gap's gonna close.
We'll all be equal.
Sorry, I'm not trying to get political, anyway, no, I'm not gonna do that. Here's a kind of a tough question for teachers. Do the students need to change, or do we need to change? It's kind of, and I hate that. I really, really hate that. This works. I've done it this way, and I've done it before.
Well, I hate lowering my expectations.
That's
Yeah.
my
Just
thing.
to meet them, you know.
I agree. I mean, I'm willing to, and I think I have over the years I've been here. I've changed, but I don't want to lower my standards. I maybe not been as strict about some things, but I still expect it to get done, or I still expect it to be turned in a professional way.
Right.
For their grade level.
Right.
Um,
How do we meet them where they are without lowering standards? Because I think that it's clearly shifting.
I think that we are lowering our standards.
You do?
Yeah, I think every year, even in little simple rules. I haven't been here very long, but you know, my first year, dress code, dress code, dress code.
Uh-huh.
Now leggings are acceptable, it seems. We say no headphones in the hallways, but how many kids do you see a day with their headphones in,
Mhm.
just walking around? So I think that we are lowering our expectations.
How many of you have a strict cell phone policy?
I do at the beginning.
How does it work, Ms. Wright?
How does it work?
Yeah,
They get one warning and the next time they have detention.
okay.
Because,
Does it? Does
you
it?
know, I'm the veteran teacher. It is a distraction.
Uh-huh.
They are so concerned about their phone in their pocket that it distracts from what we're doing.
Mhm.
And we have to go at such a fast pace, I just don't feel like that they need any distraction. So yes, I'm one of the ones that they
Mhm.
hate because I have a strict cell phone policy.
No, I agree. I try to have a strict cell phone policy, but then they want to listen to music every time they're doing their classwork or something, which I don't have an issue with that at all. If they could
Right.
listen to their music, set their phone on their desk and get their work done, but the problem is when they have their music, they're wanting to change the song 100
Exactly.
times, so it's, oh, and then somebody texts them, and then they get a Snapchat, so.
It leads into
Yeah.
other things. It's not that I can enjoy listening to my music and do my work. Oh, no, but then something pops up and I can't, it's like I cannot ignore it. I've got to get to it, you know.
And sometimes it's nice for them to have the headphones in, because they're quiet.
Yes,
Now, they can listen to their music under certain circumstances.
Right.
But it's more of a, kind of a treat kind of
Right.
thing. You know, if they're doing some independent work
Mhm.
that doesn't require a lot of communication.
Mhm.
But I have noticed there's a safety issue too with those headphones because I've had them in when they were doing independent work and you call their names and they don't hear you call their names.
Mhm.
So I have noticed that.
Okay. Does it work in your classroom? I bet it does. I know, you gotta fight,
Ask
you
them,
just,
baby.
you gotta fight every day.
It's a fight every day, but
Every day.
There's 5 questions that I was gonna do, but that's fine. I like the track that we're on. We can forget about these 5 questions, they're there. Moving forward there, suggestions. What do we do? Because I like the idea that, you know, all right, we've got some need-based stuff, you know, based on the data, but then also cultural, social things based on observations. Now, in terms of professional development, what should we do? What sort of activity, do we come up with activities? Did y'all like when did we do the team building thing over at RDA?
I
Was that
did
this
like
year?
that.
It was August, right?
That was
Was
the
that in
beginning
August?
of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
And that was, I like that. I thought that was really neat personally.
How does that sort of thing help our students? That team building, low ropes sort of thing, how does that help our students?
But how does it help them that we did it?
Yeah.
I think because that way, I don't know, it makes you more comfortable around some of the other teachers that maybe you don't see on a day-to-day basis to work together for the students. You know, there's teachers now that I'll be more comfortable going and saying, hey, are you seeing these same type of signs in little Johnny
Mhm.
as I am? You know, so you can kind of work together to help them a little bit more.
They know we're gonna be conversing and they realize that we're friends. And so they are gonna pay attention to what they're doing in one class versus the other teacher. Because it's like, I'm talking to Mr. Isley about you, or I'm talking, to make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. So they know that we've got that camaraderie going on. I think that's good for them to see that.
I think we could all agree that sitting in a room and being shown PowerPoint slides isn't the way professional development should take place. I think we could all agree. The latest research shows that it's happening, the best professional development is happening in small little communities, those PLCs, professional learning communities. Do you think the school does a good job with these little communities where do you talk with your neighbor about what you did? Or, hey, do you have an idea for this? Because that's little things like, it doesn't have to be a big meeting. It can be just small little, what do you think about this?
I don't know, I feel like a lot of people here are just so, I don't know, focused on the amount of time they have to themselves, so when it is during planning, we do that to try to make nobody have to stay after school. But then everybody's, the main thing that I talk about with people in my hall is, how long was it? Whenever you go to one during your planning, how long was it? How long did it last? That's the main thing that I hear and that I talk about with people. But people are upset about it taking up so much of their planning, but they're also not willing to stay after school for one meeting or something like that.
How do we change, and that sounds like a cultural thing within the school. If we're gonna have these little communities where we really are, because I'm just as guilty here. Bell rings, I'm ready to, I got everything in order, kids are going, I'm ready to roll. I got my stuff ready for the next day, I'm just as guilty here. I'm just as guilty as I've been doing it this way, it's been worked all the time, I'm just as guilty there.
It seems like if we had this with the tax sessions, I guess, but I'm not saying we should go to more. But if we had more, but we could choose which ones we wanted to go to.
Okay.
Because, for me, the PBL stuff, I've already been doing it. I knew all that stuff, and it was just kind of sitting there listening. And yes, we did go outside, and that was great to do this stuff. But, I'd already implemented PBLs years ago.
Right.
Called it out, everything. So it's, if I could choose to go to something else that I wanted to look at more in deep, in depth,
More offerings, right, there's other things
Right.
offered that
Yes.
people could take advantage of.
So, okay, you have to go to, 6 a year. Okay, well, here's 10 to choose from. Go to the ones that you feel like will help you the most and will help your students.
Let's take 3 minutes. And these are just 50 wild ideas for education. Because how often do we, and we're looking at maybe about 8 total minutes here. Everybody good? Okay. Taking these and pull one out that you think that we could use. Let's take 2 or 3 minutes here. A lot of these sound really good, but the application would be very difficult. Anything jump out like is possible that we could do through professional development here and for our students?
I like number 3.
Number 3?
Yeah, have students design their own quality criteria and develop frameworks to help them understand how.
Okay.
I noticed that when I let my kids design the rubric, even though I know where I want them to kind of go, helping them actually make the rubric for something we're doing, they do a lot better on the project because they help design a rubric for it.
Right on. What else?
On 22 a lot.
22.
Make students accountable to one another, not teachers. Because the best classes I've ever had are the ones where the students, not run it, but they hold other students accountable for not doing the work, or they don't shame them, but they say, why don't you turn in this, why you got a 62 or whatever. So the students are the ones that are kind of helping other students along.
Right.
So kind of the top, bring the bottom up with them.
One more? Like I said, some of them are,
I think number 2, stop claiming every child will be proficient.
yeah,
I mean, you know, it's just not the real world.
it's just
so.
not the real world.
And it doesn't make anybody, I mean, I was never a proficient student. I mean, I did okay, and I'm okay now.
Right.
But everybody can't be at the top
Right.
All the time.
All the time.
That's why I like 28. I know it's probably not ever gonna happen, but.
Yeah.
And I feel like that even with our class names, at least in math, it's like we're trying to trick everybody to think that they're all in the same level. Because the
And
level
they're
of
not.
math is foundations, you know, it used to be called tech, but then I guess
Yeah.
being in tech prep hurt people's feelings or something. So they changed the name. It used to be called Algebra 1A, but you know, then the kids are starting to figure out that 1A is the low level class. It's like we're switching it just because we don't want them to get their feelings hurt because they're not proficient in math.
I've come to the conclusion that every child is reachable, but not every child is reachable for what I have to offer. And I think one of the goals, is professional development goals, you know, what can we do as a school, what can we do as teachers to bring that out of students? We wanted to come up with 3 goals if we could. The one that I think we've talked about so far, just smaller learning communities. The left-handed people never have the best handwriting, do they?
Yours is pretty good.
Is it decent? You should see my brother. He's looking too. What was another one that we've kind of hit around already? How do we change, I don't know, this is a deep one, but culturally, you know, to where we want to be part of these? Because let's be honest here, we got, you know, not every teacher is always there for the student, and we can all say that we've been guilty of that at one point or another, which I know I certainly can. Lots of times we're there for ourselves. How do we change the culture to fight for students just a little more? I don't know. We'll just throw it up. Let us throw it up there, and we can think of it. And then I think that's fine. Feel good with that? I'm good with that. And this is here's a great thing at the very end of the paper. How do we know when we're successful? Is a big question when it comes to professional development. And here's the thing. We reevaluate. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we can be satisfied with where we are. I think it's just a continual reevaluation. So agree, disagree, I mean, with where we are and how to move forward there.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
You said something about culture. You said, how can we fight for our students' heart?
Right, yeah.
they need to be accountable for themselves, and they need to be proactive in their learning too.
Yeah.
It's not just us fighting for them.
I like that.
They have to take hold and say, you know, this is me, this is my responsibility, and it's not just the teacher's fight, because I know I fight for kids, but they don't come back and help me.
Absolutely. Certainly not trying to, yeah, you're exactly right, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. Certainly not trying to portray the school as teachers that don't care or anything like that. I certainly agree.
But students need to be aware that they also have to participate in the process and be accountable for themselves and to fight for themselves. And I won't say fight, but
Stand up.
stand up and for their own learning, you know?
And I think a lot of that is the immaturity. They don't realize or they don't understand that the value of what they're learning and that they are, in fact, responsible for that learning to take place. That we're here trying to give out information, trying to encourage them to jump on, but they've also got to do their part. And I think some of that maybe comes left over from middle school, but somebody's always there to give it to them, give it to them.
But that was one of the foundation statements in the ninth grade academy concept, or ninth grade school concept is, if they're separated from the others, then they will see that they need to step it up and get away from middle school. It's just kind of like a bridge that I don't know that our students do that very well.
It is certain.
I'm sorry, maybe that needs to be kind of revisited when we begin each school year, kind of somehow reinforce that to these students, because I know it's new, I know the campus is new to them and everything, but maybe we need to do something that reveals to them, hey, this is where you need to realize this is your campus, you gotta step up, you've gotta take some charge, you know?
What is that called again? The meeting, you said there was a name for it, I thought I heard a name for
You were saying the statement in the
it. The
freshman
foundation.
campus
And statement for the ninth grade academies,
Mhm.
the reason that they put ninth graders to themselves. That was one of the foundation statements, kind of. And you know, ninth grade school, and I've taught at both kinds of schools, I've taught at all kinds of schools.
Right.
There is a lot to be said for them to be with that, you know, the higher grades.
Mhm.
But they can also get lost in that. When you're putting a 14-year-old with an 18-year-old, they can also get, you know, go off on the wrong path. And part of the statement for the ninth grade schools was try to get them their credits, try to get them focused, and then when they move into the larger environment with the older kids, that they know their path and they've kind of established it. So, you know, it was kind of to try to create a culture
Right.
of what high school is. I don't know that we've been totally successful in that.
You know, this is just a jumping off point. Just a jumping off point. I just wanted to take an opportunity to go over some of the best and worst, what pops out, what doesn't, what our needs are based on observation and the data, and then just a few suggestions here. This is certainly by no means, you know, the written in stone sort of conclusion here. This will be just something that is worked on over time, and I could not agree with Ms. Wright. Just this is something that has to come from all angles, from all stakeholders, from parents, from students, from the community, from every angle of the education world. Thanks y'all for coming. I know you took time out of your day to do this.
I'll say one other thing. I think Dorman Freshman Campus does an excellent job at doing that.
I agree.
We do have our weaknesses, but I think overall, we try to get these kids ready to move and to try to get them focused and to try to get them to be accountable. But there's still a lot of room for improvement with the kids as well as the faculty, trying to, you know, get all this together. It's hard.
What's our normal passing rate? I mean, moving on to the 10th grade, when we're in the 98s, 97s usually?
Yes.
Mhm. Let's evaluate. Let's evaluate what's working and keep pushing in that direction. I think we do a good job of that as well. Thanks, y'all, appreciate it. We'll call it right there. Sorry about the misspelled agenda.